Have you ever met someone who didn't just enter your life, but quietly rearranged it? Have you ever wondered why certain women don't make noise, yet everything shifts when they show up? Have you ever thought that the most powerful change is often carried by the person who never asked to be noticed? Welcome to time-tested advice, where ancient philosophy meets the modern world. I'm your host, Alfred. Let's get started. Some people walk into your life and everything starts making sense. Others walk in and nothing is ever the same again. Sigma females belong to that second group. They are not the kind of women you meet every day, and they are definitely not the kind you can predict. They appear quietly, almost like an afterthought, yet somehow they end up changing everything. What makes them the true plot twist in people's lives is not what they do, but what they awaken in others. They challenge comfort zones, question motives, and bring out truths people didn't even know they were hiding. A Sigma female doesn't come with the goal of impressing or belonging. She simply exists in her own rhythm, guided by her sense of purpose and peace. But her presence disrupts patterns. People used to control or validation find her stillness unsettling. Those who mistake her silence for weakness soon discover that it's a weapon sharpened by clarity. She teaches without teaching. She inspires without performing. She shifts how people see confidence, independence, and connection. The moment she steps back, people realize she wasn't just another chapter. She was the turning point. In a world filled with predictable characters, Sigma females remind everyone that the most powerful forces don't always arrive loudly. Sometimes they come as calm storms, quietly rewriting the entire story while making it look effortless. That's why they are the plot twist people never see coming, but never forget once they do. Number 1. They see motives before they see faces. A Sigma female doesn't just look at people. She studies the silence between their words, the tension in their tone, and the truth behind their smiles. While most people are easily distracted by charm or appearance, she sees straight through the performance. Her perception runs deep, shaped by years of watching, listening, and learning how people reveal themselves without meaning to. It's not that she's suspicious of everyone. She's just learned that motives often wear masks. Some people offer friendship when what they really want is information. Some act kind only because they expect something in return. A Sigma female notices these small cracks before anyone else. She might not say anything, but she quietly takes note, keeping her emotional distance until someone's actions prove as honest as their words. For example, imagine someone complimenting her achievements but subtly trying to outdo her. Most people would take the praise at face value, but she catches the tone, the slight shift that reveals competition disguised as admiration. She won't react, argue, or call it out. She'll simply adjust her expectations, protecting her peace without confrontation. This ability to read motives doesn't come from cynicism. It comes from experience. Sigma females have often seen the difference between how people present themselves and who they really are when pressure hits. Over time, this builds a quiet kind of wisdom, the understanding that not every friendly face carries friendly intentions. People sometimes mistake this awareness for coldness, but it's really self-respect. She refuses to give her trust freely because she understands how valuable it is. She doesn't need to expose anyone. She just doesn't let pretenders stay long enough to cause harm. In a world where so many people hide behind appearances, the Sigma female's insight is both rare and powerful. She sees the truth before it speaks, the motive before the mask, And that's why she always walks away with her peace intact, while others are still trying to figure out what went wrong. Number 2, they evolve mid-conversation. Being around a Sigma female can feel like trying to read a book that's still being written. Just when you think you've figured her out, she shifts subtly, quietly, yet completely. This is because Sigma females evolve in real time. Their growth isn't something that happens once a year after a big life change. It happens daily, sometimes even mid-conversation. You might be talking to her about something she used to care about deeply, and halfway through she'll realize that it no longer defines her. She doesn't hold on to outdated versions of herself just to make others comfortable. The moment she learns something new, she adjusts. The moment an idea stops aligning with her truth, she lets it go. That ability to grow, while standing still, is what makes her so unpredictable and fascinating. For example, imagine you're debating a topic with her. At the start, she might strongly defend one perspective, but as the conversation unfolds, she listens, processes, and reflects so deeply that by the end she might have reshaped her entire viewpoint. Not out of confusion, but because she values truth over ego. Most people cling to being right. She clings to evolving. This constant evolution often leaves others confused or intimidated. People like consistency because it feels safe, but the Sigma female refuses to shrink just to fit into someone's old idea of her. The version of her that once tolerated nonsense no longer exists. The one who stayed quiet to keep peace now speaks with quiet authority. Her growth doesn't require a dramatic announcement. It's seen in her decisions, her boundaries, and her silence. One day, she simply stops explaining herself and starts embodying her lessons. That's her superpower. She doesn't need a new chapter to change. She rewrites herself in the middle of the sentence. This is why people struggle to keep up. They're trying to understand who she was while she's already becoming someone new. Number 3, they're the rare combination of soft and unyielding. A Sigma female carries a kind of strength that doesn't need to shout. She can look at someone with warmth that feels like sunlight, yet hold boundaries so firm that no one dares to cross them twice. This balance between softness and unyielding strength is what makes her rare. Most people lean to one side. They are either gentle and easily swayed or strong and emotionally distant, but a Sigma female blends both perfectly. She knows when to offer a calm voice and when to draw a line. Her empathy doesn't make her weak. It sharpens her intuition. She can sense pain, but she doesn't let it manipulate her. She can forgive, but she never forgets the lesson. To her, being soft is not about surrender. It's about understanding. Being unyielding is not about being cold. It's about protecting her peace. For example, imagine a friend constantly coming to her for advice, but never listening. At first, she'll comfort them, offering her time and energy because she genuinely cares. But once she realizes the pattern, she won't hesitate to step back. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Her compassion has limits, and she enforces them gracefully. That's what makes her so different. She doesn't allow love to turn into self-neglect. People often mistake her kindness for compliance until they meet her firmness. It's in the way she says no without raising her voice, in the way she walks away from drama without explanation. Her strength is quiet, but it's felt. A Sigma female knows the world doesn't need more harshness. It needs people who can stay kind without losing themselves. She's the calm in the storm, and the storm, when calm, is mistaken for weakness. That's why she stands out. She's living proof that true power doesn't come from being hard. It comes from knowing exactly when to be soft and when not to bend. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, say hello, and consider subscribing to our channel. And if you'd like to support our channel further, become a member by clicking the Join button below. Number 4. They outgrow people without warning. A Sigma female doesn't make a grand announcement when she's done with something or someone. She simply moves on. No drama, no explanation, no resentment, just quiet distance. That's because for her, growth isn't something that happens once in a while. It's a way of living. She's always learning, observing and refining herself, and when something or someone no longer fits her evolving sense of self, she doesn't hold on for nostalgia's sake. She lets go. This isn't about arrogance or thinking she's better than others. It's about recognizing when a connection has stopped adding value or meaning. She has no interest in staying in places where she can't grow. If a friendship starts revolving around gossip or negativity, she slowly detaches. If a relationship stops feeling like partnership and turns into emotional maintenance, she quietly steps away. Her exits aren't cruel, they're necessary. Imagine her like a tree shedding old leaves. The leaves aren't bad, they simply no longer serve the season she's entering. That's how she views people and experiences. Every interaction teaches her something, but once the lesson is learned, she doesn't force the connection to stay alive. What confuses others is the calmness with which she moves on. There's no fight, no resentment, just peace. People often take it personally, but for her, it's simply evolution. She doesn't need closure because she understands that closure is something you create within yourself, not something you wait to receive. Sigma females live by a quiet truth. Nothing grows where comfort becomes the goal. So when she senses she's starting to shrink to make others feel secure, she walks away, not because she stopped caring, but because she refuses to stay stuck. And that's what makes her powerful. She keeps choosing growth, even when it costs her familiarity, while others hold on to what's safe. She keeps reaching for what's next. Number 5. They don't enter lives to heal or hurt. When a Sigma female walks into someone's life, it often feels like something has shifted. She doesn't come to fix anyone or to destroy anything, but somehow things start to change around her. People either grow from her presence or get uncomfortable and retreat. It's not because she tries to influence anyone, it's because she reveals what's already there. A Sigma female has a way of exposing the truth you've been avoiding. Her calm honesty makes people see themselves clearly, and that clarity can either heal or sting. If you're pretending to be someone you're not, she'll quietly remind you of who you really are, sometimes without even saying a word. Her presence acts like a mirror that reflects the parts of yourself you've kept hidden. For example, someone might meet her thinking they can impress her with charm or status, only to realize those things don't move her. That encounter leaves them questioning why they need validation in the first place. Another person might find themselves inspired to grow, to level up, because she makes self-awareness look powerful. She doesn't preach or try to change people. She just lives in a way that forces honesty. Her silence can feel like judgment to those hiding behind pretense, but it's actually an invitation. To be real, to face what's uncomfortable, to stop lying to yourself. Some people rise when they meet her. They become more disciplined, more aware, more grounded. Others crumble because facing their own reflection feels unbearable. But she takes no credit for either outcome. She knows everyone reacts to truth differently. In a world where people chase approval or control, the Sigma female's role is simple, yet profound. She walks into lives not to heal or hurt, but to reveal. And once you've seen yourself through her clarity, you can never unsee it again. That's her quiet power. She doesn't change people directly. She makes them see why they must change themselves. Number 6. They value energy more than words. A Sigma female listens in a way most people don't. She doesn't just hear what you say, she pays attention to the tone, the pauses, the energy behind your words. She understands that anyone can sound sincere, but not everyone can feel sincere. To her, energy never lies. That's why she doesn't fall for charm or rehearsed sweetness. She listens with her intuition, not her ears. You could tell her you're fine, but if your voice trembles or your eyes avoid hers, she'll sense something's off. You could promise her loyalty, but if your actions carry a hint of self-interest, she'll pick up on it instantly. She's not suspicious by nature. She's just deeply tuned in. It's not about judging others, it's about protecting her peace. When she notices a gap between what someone says and what they project, she doesn't argue or demand honesty. She simply withdraws. Not with drama, but with quiet certainty. And once she pulls back, there's rarely a second chance to explain to her. Truth doesn't need to be proven. It reveals itself through consistency. For example, imagine someone constantly praising her but feeling secretly threatened by her independence. She'll feel that contradiction long before it shows up in their behavior. Her instincts tell her what the surface hides, and while most people would ignore those small signs, she trusts them completely. What confuses others is how effortlessly she detaches, but for her detachment isn't punishment, it's alignment. She values peace over presence and authenticity over company. If your energy feels wrong, she doesn't wait for betrayal to confirm it. She believes in walking away early rather than healing from something she already saw coming. That's the quiet brilliance of a Sigma female. She doesn't listen to convince herself. She listens to understand. And once she understands that your energy doesn't match your words, the conversation is over long before you notice she's gone. 7. They withdraw as a form of clarity. When a Sigma female pulls away, people often mistake it for emotional coldness, but her silence isn't a reaction. It's a recalibration. She doesn't disappear to make anyone chase her or to create mystery. She steps back to see things clearly, to measure what her piece is worth and whether certain. Connections are costing her more than they're giving. Withdrawal is her way of listening to herself again. When life gets loud or people's intentions become blurry, she retreats to reset. In solitude, she can see the truth without the noise of opinions or expectations. She asks herself questions that others are too afraid to face. Do I feel seen here? Do I feel drained? Am I giving more than I receive? Her stillness becomes a mirror that reflects everything that has been out of balance. For example, imagine her constantly being there for a friend who only calls when they need something. At first, she might overlook it, but eventually she'll feel the imbalance growing inside her. So she quietly steps back. She won't send a long message explaining why. She'll just stop showing up. Her absence isn't to punish, it's to protect. When she withdraws, she's not cutting people off. She's cutting off confusion. She knows peace is expensive, and she refuses to keep paying for it with her time, energy, or self-worth. People who truly value her will notice the silence and reflect on their role in it. Those who don't never deserved her presence to begin with. That's the beauty of her withdrawal. It's not about running away. It's about returning home to herself. In that quiet space, she gathers her power, clears her vision, and decides who and what deserves access to her again. Her distance isn't emptiness, it's clarity dressed as solitude 8. They're unreachable because they don't seek rescue. There's a quiet mystery about Sigma females that many people can't quite understand. It's not pride, and it's not arrogance, it's self-sufficiency. They've built a life that doesn't revolve around being rescued. They've learned how to stand alone, how to comfort themselves, and how to rebuild when things fall apart. That level of independence makes them feel unreachable to those who rely on others for their sense of stability. Most people are used to relationships where someone plays the savior and the other plays the saved. But a Sigma female doesn't fit into that script. She doesn't need to be fixed, and she doesn't need someone to complete her. She wants connection, not dependency. This difference often confuses people who measure love by how much someone needs them. For example, imagine someone trying to impress her by offering to take care of everything. While that might sound romantic to some, it only makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't see care as control, and she doesn't mistake dependence for love. She values partnership, two whole people choosing each other, not one leaning on the other out of weakness. Her independence isn't a wall, it's a filter. It allows her to see who truly understands her strength and who feels threatened by it. Some people interpret her self-reliance as distance because they can't connect without being needed. But she connects through respect, not rescue. This is what makes her so different. She's not waiting for someone to save her from her pain, her loneliness, or her fears. She's already faced them, and once you've learned how to rescue yourself, you stop entertaining relationships built on dependency. That's why she seems unreachable. She isn't sitting in a tower waiting for help. She's already built a bridge and walked herself to safety. What she wants now isn't saving. It's someone strong enough to walk beside her. Number 9. They don't announce their presence, they redefine it. A Sigma female doesn't need a grand entrance to be noticed. She doesn't seek attention or validation. She walks into a room, and somehow, without saying much, everything feels different. It's not because she's trying to impress anyone, it's because her energy speaks louder than words ever could. She carries a quiet confidence that makes people pay attention even when she's silent. Her presence has a way of shifting dynamics. Conversations become more thoughtful, behaviors change, and even the atmosphere feels calmer or more alert when she's around. She doesn't demand space, she naturally commands it. People might not realize it at first, but over time they start adjusting themselves around her without knowing why. For example, imagine her joining a new team at work. She won't rush to talk or show off. She'll observe, learn the patterns, and move with precision. A few weeks later, the same people who barely noticed her will start seeking her input because her quiet strength stands out in a world full of noise. That's the essence of a Sigma female. She doesn't compete for attention. She creates value. Her calm focus and self-assured energy make people rethink how they carry themselves. Even after she leaves, her absence lingers. You notice the silence she leaves behind, not because it's empty, but because it once carried meaning. She redefines presence by proving it's not about being seen or heard the most. It's about being felt. You don't forget her because she never tried to be unforgettable. She simply lived with authenticity and purpose, and that alone changed how others saw everything. That's her quiet power. She doesn't enter lives to be noticed. She enters to make people notice themselves. And when she's gone, the room doesn't just feel quieter, It feels different, as if something deeper just passed through. Number 10, they break patterns, not people. A Sigma female has a rare way of disrupting the cycles people don't even realize they're stuck in. She doesn't do it by trying to change anyone or by demanding transformation. She does it simply by being herself, unapologetically aware, emotionally grounded, and unwilling to play along with the same tired patterns everyone else accepts as normal. When someone meets her, they often find themselves behaving differently without understanding why. She doesn't feed into emotional games, doesn't chase attention, and refuses to participate in manipulative dynamics. If you're used to people rewarding your bad habits, her calm detachment will feel confusing. If you're used to control, her refusal to engage will feel like resistance. And that's the beauty of her presence. She doesn't destroy people. She destroys illusions. For example, imagine someone trying to test her with mind games, delayed replies, mixed signals, silent treatments. She won't react. She'll notice, stay calm, and quietly withdraw her energy. Not to win, but to show that she doesn't play. In that moment, the other person is forced to face their own behavior and realize how pointless those games really are. That's what she does. She holds up a mirror. People often mistake her emotional control for coldness, but it's actually emotional maturity. She knows that breaking patterns isn't about proving who's right. It's about reminding others what genuine connection looks like. She doesn't shout to be heard. She changes the rhythm of the room just by refusing to move with the crowd. Those who are ready for growth find her influence healing. Those who aren't often find her unsettling. Either way, she leaves a lasting mark. She doesn't break people down. She breaks the cycles that kept them from becoming who they could be. And once that pattern is shattered, there's no going back to the old way of being. Number 11. They are the reminder that depth still exists. In a world where everyone is racing to be seen, heard, and validated, a Sigma female moves differently. She isn't chasing visibility or popularity. She values meaning over noise, quality over quantity, and truth over performance. Her calm presence reminds people that depth hasn't disappeared. It's just rare. She makes others realize that silence can be more powerful than constant talking, and that authenticity still has the ability to stop people in their tracks. There's something quietly magnetic about her. While most people are trying to be everywhere at once, she's selective with her energy. She listens when others compete to speak. She observes when others rush to act. Her stillness doesn't come from disinterest, but from awareness. She knows that not everything deserves a reaction, and not every space deserves her presence. For example, in a conversation filled with loud voices and shallow opinions, she might say very little. But when she does speak, her words carry weight. People pause, not because she demands attention, but because her insight pierces through the noise. That's what makes her different. She doesn't add to the chaos. She centers it. She reminds people what depth feels like in a world that often forgets. Her emotions run deep, but they're steady. Her thoughts are layered, but they're clear. You can't scroll past her energy the way you scroll past content online. It lingers. A Sigma female doesn't seek to impress, she seeks to understand. And that's why her presence feels both refreshing and intimidating. She is proof that there's still value in thinking deeply, feeling honestly, and living intentionally. In a time where attention is currency, she remains priceless, because she represents something timeless. She reminds the world that real still matters, even when everything else feels artificial. Number 12. They leave people upgraded, not attached. A Sigma female will enter a space, a friendship, or a season and subtly raise the standard without ever saying that's what she's doing. People around her start speaking more honestly, protecting their peace more fiercely, and choosing alignment over approval because her way of living makes settling look unnatural. She doesn't demand that anyone change, but after experiencing her clarity, chaos no longer feels comfortable. That's why people remember her long after she's gone, not because she stayed, but because she showed them what staying true to yourself actually looks like. Number 13. They cannot be replicated, only remembered. You can try to copy her tone, her calm, her boundaries, or her silence. But what makes a Sigma female unforgettable is the spirit behind it, the fact that she means it. Her detachment is real, her standards are lived, and her peace is earned. That authenticity can't be imitated, and that's why people circle back to her in their minds, not to study her, but to remember the version of themselves they almost became when they were around her. In final words, some people enter your life and change the story. Others enter and change the meaning. That's exactly what a Sigma female does. She changes the meaning. She doesn't arrive to fit into anyone's world. She becomes the mirror that reveals what that world truly looks like. Her presence exposes truth. Her silence tests intentions, and her absence often teaches more than her presence ever could. She is the quiet shift that makes people question their patterns, their motives, and their definitions of strength and connection. Sigma females are not loud forces. They don't announce. They redefine. They don't heal or hurt. They reveal. They don't try to stand out. They simply stand firm in who they are, and that alone changes everything. For some, meeting a Sigma female is a moment of awakening. It sparks growth, honesty, and self-awareness. For others, it feels uncomfortable, even threatening, because she doesn't play into illusions or emotional games. What makes her the real plot twist is that she doesn't need to prove her worth. She already knows it, and in a world full of people trying to be liked, that self-assurance feels revolutionary. She forces others to confront how much of their identity depends on external approval and how little they've invested in their own peace. A Sigma female doesn't enter your life to be a chapter. She becomes the turning point. She teaches through her calm, inspires through her solitude, and influences through her quiet truth. Long after she's gone, her energy lingers not as a memory, but as a lesson. She is the reminder that depth still matters, that peace is power, and that sometimes the most unforgettable people are the ones who never tried to impress you at all. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'm your host, Alfred, and I read every comment.